it feels really promising, this idea, this like holy grail of a course where you can work smarter, not harder, and your energy and time and effort can go further.
Yeah. And you know what? In theory, it can become that one day. One day, underline, bold, exclamation point. What is not talked about enough, and what we're going to talk about today are the steps or the realities to get to become one of those coaches on Instagram that are, touting their $50,000 course launch that, they saw sales coming in while they were with their daughter on the beach, not paying attention, right? Like that can happen, few and far between, but let's talk about the reality of what actually it takes to get there.
Welcome to the Ready Set Coach podcast, the podcast for coaches by coaches, just like our community.
We're here for real talk on what it takes to thrive in the coaching world, plus an exclusive behind the scenes look at coaches making it happen.
Are you ready, Lex?
I'm Set M.
Let's coach.
Should we get this party started?
It's getting started in here.
Uh-huh.
Wow, we would be really fun at a party.
I know. And we're sober. This isn't drunk karaoke, y'all.
Yeah. We're very fun, sober people at a party. Oh, geez.
Wait, okay, quick squirrel. Have you ever done like a late night drunk karaoke?
Have I ever? Yes, but not really. Like, I don't have any memories of like we're going to a karaoke bar and doing it. Karaokeing is that's a lie. I did it with my dad on his 70th birthday or
Oh,
80,
that's
80th birthday.
cute.
75th? How many years ago? Maybe it was 70th. It was his 70th birthday. We got wasted and we went to his house and we sang The Killers over and over and over and over again.
So at
Yeah.
least it was in the private of your own home.
Yeah, there's privacy there. It wasn't like in front of I've been to bars and like karaoke, but that's one of my rings of hell. What about you?
My my memory that came to mind, I've done it a few different iterations, but I went to the University of Oregon and for the first few years following college, I'd go back for a Duck game at Autzen Stadium. And this particular game, I went with my parents. And so I lived in California at the time. So we stayed at this because they hike up prices, Duck game weekends. We stayed
Totally.
in this offshoot, like crappy DoubleTree in this town called Springfield. Anyways, it was next to a Denny's that had like a speakeasy into a um dive bar. And somehow post the Duck game at like 1 a.m. my parents and I and CJ was there too, wander into the Denny's, into the speakeasy dive bar, and I ended up just owning the effing mic for like an hour by myself. I thought I was Beyonce or Christina
Wow.
Aguilera, and it was packed too. Like I wouldn't share the mic. That's the state I was in.
Wow. Oh, speakeasy
Classy.
at Denny's. One of my girlfriends just got a job as like their head of marketing in Denny's. I'm gonna ask them about these like secret Denny's speakeasies.
Denny's speakeasy. She's like, "What are you talking about?" Well, in Springfield.
Yeah,
Springfield. Well,
they
now
are
maybe it wasn't a Denny's. It was. I think I'm pretty sure it's a Denny's, but it was a breakfast chain.
Waffle House.
I don't think we have a
No,
Waffle House.
Denny's sounds right. I
Feels like
will.
Denny's. That's what it feels like right now. There are some videos somewhere deep, deep in the archives
Yeah.
of my phone, so maybe I'll show you sometime.
I will say I feel like a lot of if I don't have a picture of it, my memory's not as clear on it as it was when I like had a picture of something. And there was a moment
Yeah.
in college or post college. First off, on Facebook, you could only add like 50 photos at a time. They had caps. And then second, my computer crashed at one point and I lost every single photo. This is pre like backing up on the cloud because the cloud didn't exist. There was no cloud. And I feel like pieces of time just disappeared because I don't have those memories.
My Facebook being
Yeah,
hacked this
true.
summer, my entire like high school and college memories of life are gone. Um,
Yeah.
Karaoke at a dive bar in the back of a Denny's at 1 a.m. sounds like a great idea. You know what often also sounds like a great idea, Emily?
Finishing each other's sandwiches.
And
No, I'm just kidding.
selling
No.
courses and low ticket offers.
Courses. Oh, the curse of the course, of course, of course. I I love and hate this topic so much because I wish we were like I wish we could see your faces, listeners, because I'm so curious. Or maybe you can send us a comment or send us a note on Instagram. Have you ever thought about launching a course? Raise your hand. Okay. Oh, Lexi and I both have our hands up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't it be great? We could launch a course. We could charge $49. We could pay like $1,000 on Instagram ads, and then we can make like $50,000 on $49.
Well, yeah, Emily, Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher and Marie Forleo and all those people do it. So why can't I?
Why can't I? And why not make money while I'm at the beach and people can consume and understand my content and just really benefit from my knowledge without me really doing anything?
Yeah, because obviously if I build it, they will come, right?
Yeah, naturally. Please invest all of your time and energy in this, guys. All of it.
I mean, if you aren't picking up the through line of sarcasm here, like you need to listen to more episodes here, and get to know us a little bit better. But okay, so we're setting the scene to a very common perception or misconception that still floods the coaching industry to this day. And I want to start by prefacing that before we get into the nitty-gritties, there are some things that are attractive about courses and low ticket offers and on a surface level make them feel like a good or even strategic approach. So let's like toss everyone a bone and talk about the theory or why in theory they could be positive.
Well, you could have a group program that you've created modules on, and then you could record them, package them up at a lower ticket offering. And then what's really cool is you've got 1,000 followers on Instagram who are obviously going to be your buyers. That's at $49 or at $500, you're going to be making an F ton of money. So in theory, that's such a great idea because you are serving an audience who, of course, wants to learn from you. Um, and you don't really have to do extra work or hold the space of the client,
Right. So it's going to save you time and make you more money, right? In theory, potentially even becoming passive.
especially becoming passive. And I think as coaches who have held a lot of people
In our arms.
in our arms, in the arms of an angel. It feels really promising, this idea, this like holy grail of a course where you can work smarter, not harder, and your energy and time and effort can go further.
Yeah. And you know what? In theory, it can become that one day. One day, underline, bold, exclamation point. What is not talked about enough, and what we're going to talk about today are the steps or the realities to get to become one of those coaches on Instagram that are, touting their $50,000 course launch that, they saw sales coming in while they were with their daughter on the beach, not paying attention, right? Like, that can happen, few and far between, but let's talk about the reality of what actually it takes to get there. And we're going to do some numbers today. We're going to get like real nerdy with you and break this down from a granular level so that hopefully you can truly begin to articulate and think through this in a realistic way.
Well, I wanted first to start about audience. I just, in terms of places to start, and I was in a conversation recently with someone who wants to launch something that they've never launched. They have never talked about on social media. They have no reputation for it except like in their corporate life. And just to your point, like if I build it, it's gonna sell. Like I don't understand what the problem is. And so I think the first thing to really consider is your audience ready, willing, and able for this course?
And do
Like,
they want it?
do they
Right?
want it?
Yeah.
Don't make an assumption. Like we always make assumptions, and you know what they say, you make an ass out of you and me. But in addition to that too, I think with courses in particular, it is a high volume game.
Yes. Okay. So I wrote down numbers because I was not about to do some numbers on the fly.
Yeah.
So like, sorry guys, I'm not that good. So stick with me here. I'm going to break down some numbers for you and the economics behind a course or a low ticket offer. And if you're like, why do you keep saying both of those things? A course is obvious. A low ticket offer could be a course, but it could also be like an ebook or a template that you create, a digital e-product, something of that nature. It could be a low ticket one-off strategy call, right? So just something that isn't generally your core mid to high ticket coaching package. So let's talk numbers. The first layer here are gross sales. So gross sales are what you're bringing in, but it's not what you're taking home. Okay. To hit any substantial number when you're selling a course that's low ticket, you need to sell, to Emily's point, a high volume. So a $50 product needs to be purchased 10 times to even make $500 gross, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Step one. Emily, let's take it one more layer. Do you want me to keep going or do you want me to toss it to you?
No, keep going. You're
Okay, I'm
doing a
gonna
great
keep
job.
going with the numbers.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting numbers. Interject me at any time. Okay, so now you have $500 that you brought in. What are you actually taking home? Okay, and let's quickly talk about net. So your net profit is what you take in on gross minus your operating expenses. So how much it cost for the course platform, sales tax. We could talk about how much it cost to run the community that's part of your course. So the costs that go in, it could be the marketing or advertising costs,
I
how much
think
you
I
spent.
would, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to step in there because I think a lot of times when you think course, you also think I'm going to be pouring in a buku bucks into ads.
If you're listening to this show and not in the Ready Set Coach community, what are you doing?
Seriously, our members have found clients, collaborators, accountability buddies, and best friends inside our community. It's super simple to apply. Hit pause and visit readysetcoachcommunity.com today.
See you inside. Cheers.
And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but I think like, if you're making $500, but you spent $450 on ads, how much are you really making?
Right. So threw off my brain roll, girl. I
I'm
invited
sorry.
you. I invited you to interject me at any time, and then when you did, my brain can't hang. Okay, so Emma's teeing us up. So stick with me, right? We talked about 500 gross. Now we're talking about net. Okay, we know what net is. So let's run through some scenarios here that Emily kind of teed up. Because we really need to talk about how much it costs to generate the volume needed for high gross sales.
Yes.
So I want to give an example, okay? Let's say, because this is a number that I feel like we see floating around a lot on the interwebs, that a coach is talking about how they made 100K last month on their course. Well, how much did they spend? Now, obviously, this is nuanced. There's a lot of factors at play here, but I pulled some industry averages for you guys to go off of, okay? And we're going to break down three categories. And again, we're going to get a little technical here, but there is a term called ROAS, which is return on ad spend, meaning, which basically is, for every X you spend, you get blank return. If you spend $10 on this ad, do you bring home 15? Great. You net 5. Again, stick with me here, okay? So a high efficiency ROAS would be considered 5x. So this person who is spending 100K likely put in 20K worth of ads. So
This person who is making 100K,
grossing.
grossing 100K, yes.
So then they take home 80.
Hmm.
Moderate would be a 3x ROAS. So let's say they're spending 33,000. Now they're going to take home 67. Let's say they're not doing that great. They're kind of newer on this. It's a lower ROAS. Let's say they spend 50K. They take home 50K. Now this sounds great, but here's the big question. Do you have 50K to invest upfront?
No. I mean, generally, no. And I think to your point, you also I want to add in the ad department because we explored this and we're super candid with you guys. We explored ads and Facebook ads and had high hopes for courses ourselves. And I think with ads, you have to also be really good with ads. And that's something, it's not like, hey, let me just boost this ad on Instagram and hope for the best, but there's strategy and there's testing and there's iterating and there's monitoring. And a lot of people spend money in addition to the ROAS of like the money that they're spending on ads, they hire someone who's an ad agency, which is also X amount per month based on your ad spend.
Totally. And Emily and I took a course to try to self learn this. And I'm just gonna say personally, I do not find Meta, which is a common place to advertise, intuitive
Oh my God.
whatsoever.
I feel like I'm walking into a calculus class. I'm like, I just don't get it. I
Which is
don't get
wild. You would
it.
think they'd make it like easier
Yeah.
for businesses, but yeah, like to Emily's point, you have to have everything else right in order to even get that return. So you have to get the ad right. You have to have an efficient funnel set up with strong conversion rates. You need to be consistently filling the top of your funnel with new people at a high volume so there's
Mhm.
a pool you can convert from, right?
Yeah, no, I think it needs to be a really well organized machine with all of the different levers working for you for it to get to the results that you really desire.
Yeah, not to go too much on a tangent, but this kind of calls to what I speak about a lot on my PR side of my brain. When people come to me and they're like PR or ads, I go, if you don't know what works organically, you're going to be spending a lot of money figuring out what works. So I've always been, if budget's an issue, a fan of figuring out what works funnel wise, content wise, messaging wise without ad span first, so that when you turn on the ad dollars, there's a
Totally,
higher chance of conversion.
totally agree with you on that. And yeah, that cracks me up too, because I think there's this aspect of like, oh, let me just turn on this faucet and then I'm going to make a F ton of money. So I think that, and this isn't, we don't want to be like Debbie Downers in terms of your crushing your dreams of creating a course. I think what we really want you guys to just take home is understanding all of the different pieces that go to the puzzle.
Yeah, and managing expectations a little bit more than some of the main creators are doing. I think there's plenty of people on the internet selling to you the glorified version of this.
Hmm.
And it can work. It can. People have cracked that code, but you have to M's point, understand what is behind that code really, and is that a game you are ready to get into? It's also a game that can take time to figure out all the little steps along the way.
Yeah, and I think with courses too, if you do want to do a course, thinking about selling it organically to your audience. Like, does your audience who knows and trusts you, first and foremost, are they buying it? And I think that's a great indicator that if they are or are not buying it, that's something to assess before you decide to launch it into the world fully.
Totally. And the other side of this coin too is it can be a perfect complement to an offer suite as long as your expectations about what percent of your profit is going to come from that. So, Emily has a course, I have a course, we have a course, but we also have other
Hmm.
offerings. And so our low ticket and our courses are supplemental. They are options to work with us at a lower price point, but we generally know based on how we are marketing, since we're not pouring so much cost into it, that they're not going to be the primary drivers of our business.
No, I completely plus one that one. So, Lex, if people are, of course, excited about their own course, what sh what should we give them for homework?
I think that what I'd love you to do is think about the economics. And I know that's not fun homework. No one likes math homework.
Yeah.
That's a lie. Some people do. Like people are accountants out there. But, I think it's time to do a little bit of math, right? And we talk through some examples of numbers. Can you really sit down and get an understanding of how many courses you'd have to sell to hit your income goals, which
Mhm.
means how many people need to come into your world to see it, and start to look at those numbers and grasp them. And if you're feeling like, no, that's good, I got this, like I already have an email list of 10,000, then great. You're much more primed to enter this game. But if you're at the beginning, You have 50 people on your email list. You have 1,000 followers. You've never even tried an ad before. Maybe just manage the expectations and let these numbers educate you on the road ahead.
I completely agree. So I think that being said, well, I'm going to add one more thing to it too. Also, like market research it.
Extra
People,
credit.
extra credit homework. And this is one of my biggest pet peeves. I think this is one of our biggest pet peeves is when people just make an assumption and they're like, everyone needs this. And I'm like, how do you know? Have you asked anyone? It's like, no, I don't want to tell anyone because I don't want them to steal my idea. Uh, which we've all had this conversation where they're building their fortress and then expecting to launch it and expecting their internet to break because so many people flock to whatever they've launched, yet they haven't tested it or they haven't iterated or haven't proven that it's something that's desired.
Lexi 2019 did that. So a lot of this is lessons learned through real life and through having the opportunity to hold with our really strong arms. Lots of coaches through Ready Set
So
Coach.
many strong arms.
So
So
many
with
strong
that,
arms.
Lex, I think that concludes today's episode.
On the
Ready, set, coach.
podcast.
Cast. Wow, look at that voice of Beyonce.
So
Mwah,
good. So
gorgeous.
good.
If you're enjoying the Ready Set Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready Set Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.